In Volkswagen's eyes, there are three cars it considers to be the most important in its 83-year history. They are the Beetle, the first true car of the people, then there's the Golf, a versatile family hatchback, and then there's this, the new ID.3. For the uninitiated, the ID.3 is the company's first attempt at a mass-produced electric car because it's built from the ground up to be an EV. It's about the same size as a Golf, and crucially, prices start at around £30,000. So what I want to know is whether the ID.3 is a true successor to the Golf, or is it a half-hearted attempt to get people like me and you to stop buying Teslas? But before I get into the review, remember to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel because I've come out in the horrible weather to do this. The ID.3's design is surprisingly divisive. Some people think it's too futuristic and therefore a bit ugly, while others think it's just a little bit boring. I like it though. I like the front end. I think it looks like it's from the future without looking like it's trying too hard, and I like the face that it's got it with these LED lights. I'm not a massive fan of the optional wheels that we've got on here, but there's a selection of alloys to choose from that can make this look like a really smart car. But like I said earlier, it's about the same size as a Golf, but there's a real crucial difference. Because we've got no engine at the front, it means that the cabin can be a little bit bigger, and you can see this windscreen comes really far down the front of the car. It means that it's very airy inside and super spacious. So it really does feel very different to driving a regular Golf. In the back, we've got a 385 litre boot, which is about 5 more than what you get in the Golf. However, if we're comparing numbers to numbers, it's 40 litres less than what you get on a Tesla Model 3. So while the Tesla beats it on paper, because you've got this hatchback design, it's actually a little easier to load stuff in and out of. Of course, the charging cables also take up a little bit of room. Our Family Pro Performance model that we've got right here has an adjustable boot floor, so you can open up a little bit more room. So as I said, the model that we're in at the moment is the Family Pro Performance, and that comes in at £34,650. And for that you get dual zone climate control, and you also get a panoramic roof, which you don't get on the lower trim levels. But if you want to save some money, you can go for the Pure spec, which will cost you as little as £30,000 after you take into consideration the £3,000 plug-in car grant. Before getting in this, I was expecting it to feel a lot like the new Golf, but to be honest, they couldn't feel more different. For instance, there's no need for a conventional transmission tunnel, so the centre console sits nice and low, and it just opens up the cabin so much. And then we've got the really raked windscreen, which lets in a lot of light. We've got two screens on the dashboard. One is the infotainment system, and we've also got a virtual cockpit. And while they feel like they've been plonked on, it actually feels like a more minimalist and streamlined design compared to what you get on the Golf. And like the Golf, everything is controlled through touch surfaces. There are barely any physical buttons in here. So if you want to change the heat, it's a slider. If you want to change the volume, that's also done on a slider. And if you want to go into the climate control settings, it's done in quite a complicated menu on the infotainment system. What's also proven to be a little bit controversial is the gear selector, because when you're in a conventional automatic car, you either have a dial or a lever in the center console to go between drive, reverse, neutral, park, etc. But on the ID.3, you've got what I can only describe as a knob. Push it forwards to go between drive and the regenerative braking settings, and pull it back to go into neutral or reverse. And to be fair, it's taking some getting used to. I've been with the ID.3 for a while now, and I've not quite got my head around it, so maybe if I had it for several months, it would become second nature. And then there's the interior quality, because some of the VWs I've driven lately don't feel quite as good as their predecessors, and while the ID.3 is a new product, it doesn't quite feel as VW as I would like it to. So while the steering wheel feels lovely, and so do the areas that you touch frequently, there's a lot of gloss black which picks up fingerprints, and some of the plastics can be a little bit scratchy. What's also proven to be a little bit controversial are the haptic feedback buttons on the steering wheel. So essentially you don't have any physical buttons, you just have touch surfaces, but crucially they give you a slight rumble every time you press them. It takes a moment to get used to, but I found this much easier to adapt to than I did the transmission knob. What's really cool though is the amount of storage that you've got in here. So not only have I got two sizable cup holders here, but I've also got this adaptable tray in the center, which I guess is good for storing our wallet. And then if I pull this back, you've not only got two massive storage bins, but you've also got two USB-C ports. And to finish things off, there's a small net down here for, I don't know, perhaps your keys. But either way, you won't be short of storage when buying an ID.3. It's very difficult to get excited about the back seats of a car because while they serve a purpose, there's not exactly anything luxurious about them. However, I have got excited about the ID.3s because as soon as you sit in them, you notice that they are really quite different. While the front part of the seat is nice and high, the back part sits really low, so you kind of sink into the seats, and that opens up a little bit more headroom. That's clever engineering. So I'm 180 centimeters, and sitting in these lovely scooped out racing like rear seats, I've got loads of headroom to play with, and the same for legroom. I've got the driving seat in my position, and that's probably the most I've had in a hatchback of this size. Quality's not too bad either here. You've got a mix of leather and also really nice fabric down here as well. It doesn't feel like cheap, it's very, very smooth. Reminds me a little bit of those Google Pixel smartphone cases that you used to be able to get. In the centre we've got an armrest, and there's also through loading. So if you're going to, I don't know, a timber yard, you can put some nice long bits of wood down here, or an IKEA trip will go with that. And of course you've got ISOFIX points. They're behind these retractable caps down here, so you don't have the pop-out ones that are easy to lose. Overall though, if you're sitting in the back of an ID.3, you've got it pretty good. Out on the road in the ID.3, and before I get into the review, I should stress that it's a really cold day today. And electric cars don't always work brilliantly in chilly conditions because you're less likely to get to the claimed range. The batteries just can't fire up to temperature. So what that means is we've been doing some testing this morning to get a feel of the car, and at the moment I've got 58 miles left in the tank. It would be good to check back at the end of this review to see how we're getting on. So speaking of batteries, the one that we've got in here is the mid-range 58 kilowatt hour pack, which offers a range of about 260 miles under WLTP. There's also a range-topping version which is a 77 kilowatt hour pack, and that's closer to 340 miles, so not quite as good as a Tesla Model 3, but not far off. And now there's a new entry-level model with a 45 kilowatt hour pack, and with that you're looking at just over 200 miles. There's also support for 100 kilowatt charging, so if you've got one nearby, it shouldn't take too long to charge this thing up, but I know what you're thinking, they're really hard to get hold of. I'm quite lucky that I've got one near my house, but they're a bit of a rarity in the UK at the moment. So my impressions of the ID.3 are, it doesn't really feel like a weird electric car. There are some cars that you get into that just feel so alien compared to what you're used to driving that it almost feels a little bit gimmicky. And that's really not the case with this ID.3. It does feel like a Golf to drive. The steering is light, but that's the case with the Volkswagen Golf anyway. I drove the GTI quite recently, and even that performance model still felt a little bit light and vague. The good thing is, though, is that it does what you expect it to do. So if I turn the wheel a certain amount, it does feel like the front wheels are doing what I would expect it to do. I'm also test driving a Citroen C5 Aircross alongside this, and compared to that, this thing feels like a racing car. The Citroen, it almost feels like you're using a Nintendo Wii wheel to steer. Let's check the performance out. Oh! Yeah, it's not bad. So you've got a 205 brake horsepower rear-mounted electric motor that'll get you from 0 to 62 in just over 7 seconds. That doesn't exactly sound like it's ludicrously fast, but the thing is with electric cars is they're really quick from 0 to 30 miles an hour. It doesn't really matter if you're taking a little bit longer to get up to 62 because you've usually got loads of room on a slip road, but it's that darting away from traffic lights or needing to make a quick overtake. This thing will just handle it brilliantly. And what's really important with that as well is it makes it fun. And this is something I've just noticed with any new electric car. It's not exactly a performance car, but it's just so well engineered that it always feels nippy and up for it. A bit like a hot hatch. In the ID.3, you've got two settings. You've got normal, and then you've got something that's a little more aggressive. But I think aggressive's the wrong word. It's essentially non-existent and mild. And that's a little bit of a shame because A, it doesn't feel like you're recovering as much energy as perhaps you could be. But B, what's quite nice about electric cars is that you can do this kind of one-foot driving. You can essentially use the accelerator to power away, driving 101, and then when you want to brake, you simply lift off the accelerator and the regen does everything for you. But you can't really do that in here. The regen is so weak that you're still going to have to put your foot on the brake pedal. And another thing I've noticed, the windscreen wipers have a bit of an abnormal pattern, and I know some people that have driven this car actually find it really annoying. I'm not one of those people, it doesn't really trouble me, but if you're easily wound up by windscreen wipers, the ID.3 is different. Let's talk technology. So you've got all the driver assistance stuff that you could ask for, like lane keep assistance and active cruise control. Great. But there's also car-to-X technology, which is really cool. So essentially what this car can do is communicate with other vehicles fitted with that technology. For instance, let's say I'm driving through town and then suddenly the car in front of me slams their brakes on. I react to it, I put the brakes on, but what the car does is then tell other cars in the line that use car-to-X technology that there's a car in front slowing down and that they're going to need to apply their brakes. So what it does is it is safer, you're less likely to go slamming into the back of somebody, but B, it's less likely to cause traffic jams because you don't have people reacting for no reason. The car will react for you. So it's actually making life a lot better. You're going to be causing less traffic jams if you drive an ID.3. The other thing I like about it is that it does feel like it's intuitive to use. The only slight problem that I have is with the gear selector, but you're going to use that so rarely. It's only when you get in the car and actually want to go somewhere that you have to use it. But I can see if you've got this car for X many months or years, you'll just get round to using it, no problem. Another thing I like about the ID.3 is just how open and bright the cabin is. The benefit of not having a big combustion engine at the front means that the glass can sit further in the car and you can therefore have more glass in the cabin. It just lets in so much light. And the last thing I like about it is that it does feel like you're in something that's futuristic, but it's not overwhelming. There's nothing very gimmicky in here, which is kind of what I was expecting. It just feels normal, it feels straightforward. It's a car that you can just get in and drive. What I'm not so keen on, the interior quality just doesn't feel as good as I was expecting. Volkswagen is usually just a little bit better than this, and there are some areas in here that don't feel as nice. as other Volkswagens have done in the past. So should you go out and buy a Volkswagen ID.3? I don't think it's as cool as something like a Tesla Model 3, and I don't think it feels as futuristic as a Tesla. But that's not really the brief of this thing. This thing is to take the Golf buyer and make them into an electric car driver. And in that sense, I think it's done a superb job. This really has nailed the brief. It feels like a Golf, if a little better. There's a lot more air coming in. It feels like a Golf, if a little better. It's a much brighter cabin that we've got in here. And while the quality's not great, it's pretty much the same as what you'd get on the Mark 8 Golf. If anything, I think it's a bit more fun to drive than a Golf. And the range is pretty damn decent, so long as you're not driving in very cold conditions. So I've been driving for probably about 10 miles on this little recording trip, and we've used, crikey, quite a lot of battery according to this. But so we're on 36 miles, and I believe we started off with 58. But that's in a sense to be expected. It's a very cold day. We are going to be using up a bit more battery than we would have hoped for. And if you're a Golf lover but you're not a fan of the ID.3, let me know why VW's new electric car isn't quite doing it for you down in the comments. But VW wanted this to be a new chapter in their history, one of their most important cars ever made. And it's not hard to see why.